Syngenta's recently gone through an integration that started in 2011. That integration has basically taken our global organization and combined it into crop units, as well as focused the entire organization around those crop units. So we've integrated our entire sales force, our commercial units, and our marketing units. From a vegetable standpoint, we have both a global crop team as well as a North American crop team here in the U.S. Their focus is to really think more like a grower and provide solutions and benefits to the grower with our customer in mind, and how do we ultimately get to that customer with the appropriate solution for that grower. Our brand in the U.S. has been Rogers brand, but now we're going forward with the Syngenta brand. And we also have the Syngenta brand in the U.S. But globally we have a few more brands than that. We have Syngenta, we have Syngenta, but all of those will be consolidated at some point under the Syngenta brand. Oh, wow. Our product development pipeline is very rich and full. As you know, we operate in all the species within the vegetable industry, and our pipeline is extremely full. It's probably one of the most robust pipelines that I've seen in a number of years. We're particularly focused on the leafy crops as well as watermelons, and we're focused in those two arenas here in the U.S. and have a lot of exciting products within our group. Biggest challenges in the vegetable seed industry, I seem to think about that from a grower perspective. And from a grower perspective, I think there's a number of things. Number one, it's the regulations that's been put on growers in terms of sustainability and traceability. Number two, I think it's labor is becoming more and more of an issue here in the U.S., and how they have access to the appropriate labor at the appropriate time. Is a huge issue. And then our resources. So what I mean by resources is water quality, and the ability to be able to provide that in the markets and the time that we need it. So those would probably be the three of the biggest things facing our growers today. We do a lot of research around what the consumer likes. So we look at taste profiles, we look at smell profiles, we look at all of the senses and how those profiles, we're trying to actually marry those profiles with the agronomic traits that are desirable by a grower. So we're trying to marry those two together in our breeding programs and say, what is it that the consumer ultimately desires, and how can we provide that with the appropriate agronomic package and trait that the grower needs to be able to produce the yield and have the return on investment that he's looking for. Branding and packaging is extremely important. Number one, I think brand's extremely important, and there's a lot of power and equity within a brand. I think it ensures the grower that they've got the right resources behind them, they've got the right amount of research and development, a company dedicated to agriculture and the agribusiness industry, the ability to bring forward the genetics and germplasm and traits that they will need to be able to grow the appropriate amount of yield for their farm. So I think that's extremely important. In terms of packaging, I think we're seeing some unique things in packaging. Syngenta always invests in new packaging concepts, not just in our veg business, but across our entire agribusiness. I think we all understand the importance of biotechnology. So if we just look at our corn and soybeans and cotton and what's happened there in biotechnology, it's a huge investment to bring that biotechnology to market. I mean, we look at $100 million plus. We look at $100 million plus investment to be able to bring a trait to the marketplace. So Syngenta is always trying to assure that there's the appropriate market share as well as the appropriate return on investment for the grower to bring one of those traits to marketplace. I think what drives GM in vegetables is the consumer and whether or not they're ready for that. If you look at the population right now, we're at roughly estimated 7 billion people, and in the next couple of decades we'll be at 9 billion people. So we've got to do the right things to feed those people, the growing demand for food, and the changes in the dietary concerns. So if you go back and look at some of the Food Economic Council surveys that they've done, they say the most recent survey, which was done in 2010, states that consumers are ready for that. So Syngenta will make the appropriate investments where those markets exist and where it's the right thing to do.